Karibu sana rafiki, ni aje Omudi the Hamis hapa. Kipindi ni pesa ni amani. That's the name of my topic, and I'm here to enlighten Kenyans about wealth creation. Tusaidiane maze, tujiondoe kwa poverty kiasi. So, my fellow Kenyan, my lovely friend, I've defined many things. We've talked about many things, about the heavenly entities, how they're connected to us. And I always believe, and it's through my cultural disposition, vitu nilipitia when I was being circumcised kitambo, tulishoiwa ya kwamba kuna some connection between humanity and the heavenly bodies. And other cultures believe that those heavenly bodies reincarnate through our leaders. That's why African countries, most of them had monarchies. Our monarchies were mostly spiritual, whereby a ruler ndiye anakuwa ni kama ndio pia religious ruler. Like a monarch king, unapata ndiye ana decide what's happening. Yeye ndio judge, yeye ndio religious leader, na yeye ndio king ama queen. So most Bantu communities around the equator walikuwa hivyo. The changing from that into republic ama democracy ndio ikafanya sasa hawa monarchs wakakuwa toppled by the voting system. That is the core problem ya African conflict. Tukiangalia ni Rwandan conflict, tukiangalia ni Burundian conflict, it boils down to monarchy and land ownership. The monarchy system inafanya land ownership kukua communal. Na that is what mzungu alikuwa anachukia. Yes, the minority wenye walikuwa side yake, kama in the case of Rwanda and Burundi, the minorities walikuwa side ya mlami kwa sababu walikuwa wanaona ni cheaper ku maintain as minority tribe. But this minority was also the privileged one, which were mostly watu kufuga mangombe, the pastoralists. Like in this case, kama ni Rwanda ama ni Burundi, utapata ni the Tutsis who were privileged to be cattle herders. So walikuwa upande wa mlami before colonization. But ndio ukitaka kujua mzungu ni mbaya ama kama Belgium ama Mfaransa, alichukua huyu monarch akamwambia ni aje, tutakupa chance ya kurule lakini turudi kwa voting system. Sasa ule mwenye alikuwa amekaliwa hana land, the majority, in this case the Bantus like the Hutus, wanajipata hao wanaweza kuchagua kiongozi through the voting system, which in this case that is what happened. So majority wale wenye walikuwa upande wa maskini wanatoka the hustlers ama the peasants wanachukua utajiri ama uongozi through the ballot, wakatopple the monarch huwa minority. Sasa unapata conflict inaanzia hapo through revenge. Sasa ilikuwa ni upande wenyu, now it's your turn, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn usually happens when the monarch lose power. In this case unasikia wanaitwa the dynasty hapa Kenya. To the run up of election ya 2022 ulikuwa unasikia wengine wanasema the dynasties versus the hustlers. What that meant was just the peasants versus the rich. Hii leo umesikia kwamba prominent families ya the so-called dynasties, that is the Kenyatta and the Odingas, zimeshambuliwa na peasants wenye walikuwa violent. That is what usually happens in most democracies. Ukienda China nini, unapata the majority wakishajua jinsi ya kuingia kwa power through the democracy way, wanachukua power alafu wanafanya kitu ya like to return hand, ku revenge. When the majority take over, they kind of have wanakuwa na kitu ya kuumiza kwa roho, like a revenge, like you guys. This usually happens when there's an issue of land. There's a speech by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. He was explaining this to wazungu. Alikuwa anawaeleza the origin of conflict in the Great Lakes. Uende Kenya, uende Rwanda, uende Burundi, itakuwa ni nini? Number one, land. It happened quicker in Burundi and Rwanda, like in the 1994 genocide, because Rwanda was small. So the communities in this land zina expand, zinapata land hakuna. At the same time, unafanyiwa nini? Unaletewa system ya kuchagua mtu unataka through your number. So it is not the numbers that rules, not the elite, but the number. So our minority wakichanuka wanaingia kwa ballot, wanapigia nani? Majority mwenzao ambaye ni maskini mwenzao. In this case, like what Kenya did. Kenya ndio country ya mwisho kufika hii stage. Hizi countries zimepigana East Africa zimepitia hiyo direction. Ya nini? Land ni kidogo, after land imeexpand, imekuwa kidogo, watu wameexpand, unaanza kurealize venye Nyerere alisema, who is squeezing me, nani ananifinya? Unapata there's another group that used to rule us that has a lot of land. They used to be monarchs. Mzungu ameleta system ya kuwatoa, which is voting. Sasa tumewatoa, what happens? Night ni kurudi na kuchukua hizo mali. That is what brings conflict. Unaweza kusikia sasa nini? Genocide imeingilia ama civil clashes. That is the stage that Kenya is in. But what causes it? It boils down to ideology, what I've been preaching about, that these leaders, if you believe that gods reincarnate through them, it is easier to understand why people fight. You are fighting for these guys. And it's all about business. It's all about who owns land. Land is the number one factor of production. You can't talk about producing anything in the world. Hata kama ni kiberiti, hata kama ni nini, whether you're producing alcohol or cigarette or milk, without land you're not talking about anything. You need land. Because weather ya Kenya ni mzuri, inasupportiwa na a lot of factors. So Kenya, land hapa Kenya ni very crucial. But kama tu venye nimekueleza, in other countries like Rwanda and Burundi, they realized early that they realized earlier than us that land ndio shida. Alafu muona kutolewa, muona kuwezi achilia tu mali yao hivi. The Kenyatas, shamba nye mna accuse all the time that they have taken from Kenyans, hawezi tu achilia hivi, they'll release without fight. You know, that's what causes problems. Yes, hao ndio minority, hao ndio wana rule. They're the majority land owners, like most foreigners. So unapata a lot of British wadosi wa British, the Lords. The England iko na parliament mara mbili. The House of Commons and House of Lords. House of Lords wanachaguliwa based on the land you own. They are called House of Lords. They are lords, they are landlords. No one elects them. Wewe uko na shamba kiasi gani? Wapi? Kenya. Na wewe, the whole of Zimbabwe is yours, you know, or Zambia. So those lords, among them ni hawa viongozi wenyu wa Afrika. They used to be monarchs. They are just in suits, but they used to be monarchs. So they can't let go this piece of land, ama hizi mashamba kubwa kubwa, without a fight. They will have to fight, and that is what causes problems. Wakenya wacheni waambie mko kwa stage mbaya kidogo, so mjiangalie. To understand that, you will bring peace easier. And Kenya could experience peace, but to understand peace, because peace is wealth. I've told you, you can't be rich in a conflict. Huwezi kuwa refugee. And this is one thing that Kenyans don't understand. Wakenya, many neighboring countries wanatamani mpigane. That is what you guys don't know. Many neighboring countries around us, ni marafiki, ni majirani, yes, but they're wishing that we fight because we've never fought. Why? Because Kenya is big. Tumekujipanga, political system yetu iko sawa na shamba iko. But saizi tumeanza kufinyana. Na tunafinyana, utajua unafinyana through house rent, gharama maisha, because kila kitu ni land. Now guys are starting to realize, pesa zetu kumbe ziko kwa shamba. Wamechukua nao loans, but shamba. That's why you see people are storming, wakati wezi clashes, others are storming other people's property. Because there's we're in that stage. To place dangerous sana. So to bring peace, you need to understand that these are gods. The gods have reincarnated through them. The planets above us represent them. If it's a planet that controls, and to understand each climate, you need to understand some religion like Buddhism, these other Asian religions. They talk about elements. You know, there are like 4, 5, 6 elements that control humanity. There's fire, which is controlled by Mercury. There's water, which is controlled by planet number 8. You know, so you need to understand the spirit that controls planet number 8. Imereincarnate hapa duniani kama nani. You know, that's a leader that controls the international trade, the water and everything. To understand these ideologies, what is happening in Kenya, the politics, the fight for business, you need to understand the hierarchy or the power amongst these leaders. If it is Ruto, yeye na Mudavadi, what's their relationship between Mudavadi na Uhuru? Relationship yao ni aje? Because these guys can't go anywhere. Nyinyi ndio mtauana, mtaisha, lakini hawa watabaki hivyo hivyo. Because they have higher powers. They're not just there. They're there for a reason. So it is us to talk to them. Like, you guys, you are our leaders. Amwendi mahali. Ni sisi tuomio up and down. If you are fighting, let's know you're fighting about biashara. Nilisema kwa the other podcast that Kenyatta and the current president, President Wapisans, yeah. If for those who understand some ideologies kama socialism, in a socialism setting kama Kenya, utapata peasants ndio wengi, na when they take over power, unapataga wananyang'anya property, the other side, the minority that used to rule for a long time. So you need to understand that principle ndio utaelewa what's happening in Kenya. But nilisema in the other video, the party imetoka in normal democracies, lazima the party imetoka, which is the ruling party, which is the dynasty side. For example, the Kenyatas have to relinquish some percentage to the other side. At least that's to 35%. It happened during Kibaki's time. It happened during Moi and Kenyatta's time. Yet, Kenyatta and Moi were friends. Kenyatta will relinquish. Moi, shika. You have to relinquish some sectors. Wezi shika kila kitu. Maskini akiingia, ama hata kama ni tajiri mwenzako, akiingia, you don't expect him to be quiet. Atataka umwachilie some sectors. Ana Rigathi sang about it. Alisema mwachilie maziwa, mwachilie majani chai, mwachilie kahawa. At least 3 sectors. Nyinyi mbaki na sekta ya mafuta, hata hiyo gesi yenye Raila anapigania hiyo gesi, Progas versus Taifa Gas. That could have never happened. The fight between Hustler Fund versus Mshwari, it could have never happened. Those are wars that these gods are fighting for. Business, doing business with their people, which is okay. Nilisema that's the only way. Ama mtasikia ma corruption scandals kwa TV. You either eat from the production side or you eat from the consumption side. That's how rulers rule. So for that short analogy of what's happening in Kenya, it is you Kenyan to make a choice. Do you want peace? Because it is in peace that you get what? Better gold, better mullah. And that's the topic for today. Spread peace. You should know why the other guys are fighting. The Odingas. Odinga has a strong 6 million votes. Our side, we won, but we still acknowledge 6 million people si mchezo. Ni watu wanye, they need their share. Yeah? They need their share of the tax. And that will take time. That will take time to restructure, because Rigathi also pia hizi achilia tu iende hivi, yeah? Because ni position yake inakuwa targeted. And that's why I always tell people that ukitaka kwenda mbali, as my name suggests, Umudi the Hermes. Hermes is the god that holds the purse. He's the owner of the purse. Yeye ndo mwenye pesa. But who owns the gold? The person who owns the gold is the god that you guys should join. You know, Mudavadi is the controller and owner of the central bank. Central bank looks upon him because he's from the gold community. The word Maragoli means the gold people. He will be everywhere. Mzungu will always hold on to him. If you want a good connection between the international IMF bodies, like monetary systems like IMF and World Bank, you will need Mudavadi's hand. That's why they picked him specifically to go and study at the Bretton Woods, for those who know Mudavadi's history. So Mudavadi is very critical. Where's Mtwapa system? He's a god that is needed. Among the solar system, I told you the sun is the source. The sun is the source of wealth, the source of gold. Yeye ndo number 1 is the source of vitality, the source of ego. You know, the symbol of the sun is what illuminates kwa sisi sote. Bila yeye there's no life. But you can't have the sun without the water. But who controls the element water? Who controls the wind? Who controls earth? Who controls this? So you need to know all those 5 elements ndio ujue life inaendaje. Na wote wanataka shares. You can't get rid of Kalonzo. Kalonzo, even though his elements are dead, like coal and limestone, but you still need those to develop any kind of civilization. You need cement, you need electricity. So coal is very important. Unaona mtu kama Bill Gates akishuka Kenya, the first place anashuka ni Ukambani, Makueni and Machakos. It's because the owner of that land, the king of that land, Kalonzo Musyoka or Alfred Mutua, they control an element that people need, coal and limestone, hapo at the river. Crucial elements to construct or to develop any civilization. You can't talk about any cement thing or anything to do with for example, the Taitas. You can't touch metal or iron without the Taitas, because they're the producers of iron ore. For those who know that Kenya has iron ore. Yeah. So every god has an element that he controls. You can't touch international trade without Raila. You can't. He controls the international trade. The best clearing and forwarding agents, they are always Luos, because that's their department. You will never fight them off that. The person who controls the cash or the army, it will always be a Nilot and a Kushite. That is how they are arranged. Because Ham is, as quick as he is, he controls the land and the air. So that is how it goes. So that's how politics and religion rolls out. What I would urge Kenyans to do is to tell them to cool down, because we're in a dangerous stage. Tuko stage yenye Rwanda ishaikuwa, Burundi ishaikuwa, Congo iko saizi. It all boils down to land. Na land ikianza kusqueeze, ukumbuke wenye walikuwa na only land wametolewa. Wanatolewa through nini? Through vote. That is what mzungu wants, and it has happened. Sasa stage yenye wanabakisha tu ni sisi tuchapane. Tumegrow, tumekuwa strong sana for them. So Mkenya kichapane, ukae ukijua enemies are waiting for us. Wanatungoja, yani tukue refugees na tuwaachie land, because wataingia. Walikwambia wataingia Nairobi in 2 weeks time. They were not lying, because they know our weakness. Hatujafika stage ya kufinyana, tumefika sasa. Ndio na peasants wana attack land ya Kenyatta ama farm ya Raila. It's not a good thing, because how pia watawachilia tu hivi, they will have to apply some other forces. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. It's been a long one. History imekuwa ndefu. For prosperity and for wealth creation, you need peace. Peace ni amani. There's a political party called ANC. I will bet that you join that party. Join that party, and that's how you realize the importance of wealth. Thank you very much, and may Jah bless you. Mr. Mose, mbona umenyamaza bwana?
Nataka umalize.
Nishamaliza.